This is your weekly report on corruption in the Philippine government. A soldier who went AWOL or absent without official leave will soon have a new home, jail. This was after the former Philippine Army soldier was caught with a kilo of suspected shabu during a buy-bust operation in Realty Road, Barangay Manchuayong, Mandawi City at past 2 p.m. on Thursday, August 10th. Leah Alcantara, spokesperson of the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency in Central Visayas, identified the former soldier as Stanley Coca, 32, of Barangay Idleon, Cebu City. Alcantara said that a joint team of lawmen arrested Coca after the buy-bust went down at 2:40 p.m. They also confiscated from the suspect 21 plastic packs of suspected shabu, which weighed a kilo and had a market value of 6,800,000 pesos. Alcantara said that Coca was believed to be a member of a newly identified drug group operating in Metro Cebu. She also said that they did a 3-week case build-up against the suspect and conducted the buy-bust after they confirmed Coca engaging in the illegal drug business. Aside from that, Alcantara said that despite Coca being new to the business, he had become a drug dealer who could dispose from 500 grams to a kilo of suspected shabu in a week. She also said that Coca was a soldier 5 years ago and went AWOL. Coca was detained at the detention facility of the PDEA 7 pending the filing of charges. The Commission on Audit has called the attention of the Dangerous Drugs Board over the 315.7 million pesos disbursed to various government agencies and local government units but remained unliquidated as of the 31st of December, 2022. The funds were disbursed as financial assistance in the operation and maintenance of drug rehabilitation centers and other projects in line with Section 75 of Republic Act No. 9165. The Comprehensive Dangerous Drugs Act of 2002. Also, COA pointed out DDB's 2,709,886 peso dormant or non-moving accounts. In its 2022 annual audit report, COA said that of the 315.73 million pesos in liquidated funds, 121,391,330 pesos was disbursed to national government agencies, while 194,342,339 pesos was given to LGUs. The unliquidated balances of 315,733,669 pesos arose because the submission of the report of checks issued and report of disbursement by the implementing agencies were not monitored by the accounting division in 2022. Only 2 IAs were monitored, the COA said. It pointed out that DDB's failure to properly monitor the unliquidated balances was due to lack of established internal procedures on the manner and frequency of conducting the prescribed monitoring and reconciliation of activities. It said there was also no proper coordination between and among the DDB personnel on the turn over of inspection reports and the IA's liquidation reports that are submitted to the chairman or secretariat of the DDB without proper monitoring and reconciliation. COA said that DDB failed in validating whether all IAs complied with the completion of the projects so they can timely demand for the liquidation and refund of excess funds. Some liquidation documents submitted by the IAs were beyond the 60-day period after the full utilization of the financial assistance, it said. COA recommended that the DDB management direct its AD to conduct regular and periodic verification of fund transfers and include specific instructions to IAs on the date and manner of submission of the notice to proceed, bank deposit slips, and liquidation documents, among other things. Southern Police District Chief Brigadier General Roderick Mariano warned the public on the proliferation of counterfeit money following the arrest of a dismissed member of the Philippine Army. Kevin John Sonchio, 30, security guard, was arrested on the 11th of August for using a fake 1,000 peso bill to buy cigarettes at a sari-sari store in Barangay Fort Bonifacio, Taguig. A minor was manning the sari-sari store when Sonchio handed a 1,000 peso bill as payment for the cigarettes. When the witness examined the bill, he discovered the money was fake as it had the same serial number as the one he received on the 30th of July. He immediately sought the assistance of the Barangay Security Force of Barangay Fort Bonifacio that resulted in the arrest of the suspect. Recovered from the suspect were 9 1,000 peso counterfeit bills and 10 different identification cards. During the arrest, The suspect introduced himself as a member of the Philippine Army. However, upon validation, it was found that he was already dismissed from the service and the government identification cards he possessed were also falsified. He will be charged with illegal possession and use of false treasury or banknotes and other instruments of credit, usurpation of authority and falsification of public documents under the revised penal code. A policeman was gunned down by still unidentified assailants in Barangay Royas, Calbayog City, Samar at past 11 p.m. on Friday, the 11th of August. Staff Sergeant Ray Alcazar, 46, and a resident of Cebu City succumbed to gunshot wounds in his body and head. Policemen are conducting a thorough investigation to identify the perpetrators and the motive behind the killing of Alcazar, who was assigned at the Calbayog City police station. Initial investigation showed that the policeman had just come from a drinking session with friends when the gunmen peppered the Mitsubishi Strada he was driving with bullets. A hot pursuit operation was conducted by the police, but the perpetrators managed to escape. Around 100 personnel of the Bureau of Corrections have been relieved from their posts while they are being investigated over contrabands retrieved from the New Bilibid prison, Corrections Director General Gregorio Catapang Jr. said Monday. In an ambush interview, Catapang said around 20 were officers. They are being investigated. They have been relieved. They are just required to stay in their barracks so they will be available for investigation in case they need to be called, Catapang said. He said those relieved from their posts still receive their salaries. It's just that way. You can't remove their pay because they might escape, Catapang said. Asked what kind of contrabands are being smuggled, Catapang said the PDLs are smuggling whatever may pass inspection, as long as it can enter. Remember that we have banned alcohol. Now, they are using yeast, the material to make bread, to create lambanog, Catapang said. We banned drugs, now they are training pigeons, he added. At least 39 of the 53 government workers, who tested positive for the use of illegal drugs in this city, have surrendered for rehabilitation. Colonel Noel Arano, Bacolod Police Director, said the 14 employees who did not surrender would be included in their illegal drugs watch list for surveillance and may face charges if evidence warrants. Don't dare me, I warned you, I will arrest all of you, he said. Arano said he would gather evidence against the 14 employees who didn't surrender and find out where they are getting their supply of illegal drugs. Those who did not surrender, he said, had been given a second chance to do so next week before any police action is taken. Of those who surrendered, Arano said 17 were assigned at the Public Order and Safety Office and 22 from the Bacolod Traffic Authority Office. General Primitivo Tabujara, Bacolod Anti-Drug Program Coordinator, said on Friday, the 11th of August, that the 39 who surrendered were subjected to profiling after their mugshots and fingerprints were taken on Thursday. Of the 39 employees who tested positive for narcotics use, 2 were regular employees, while the rest were job order and casual workers. Gallego said that 2 regular employees had resigned, while the 4 who were waiting for the confirmatory test results were still reporting for work. A Bohol-based organization has filed a complaint against Bohol 1st District Representative Edgar Chato before the House Committee on Ethics and Privileges for allegedly meddling in the water source dispute between 2 towns in the province. In their complaint dated the 10th of August, Bohol Clean Water Alliance officials Emmanuel Ramasala and Erastus Leopando claimed that not only did Chato got himself involved in the dispute between the towns of Sevilla and Balilahan regarding the use of Bugwak Spring, but that he also influenced Environment Secretary Maria Antonia Yulo Loizaga. The complainants allege that Chato intervened during the then proposed 2023 budget deliberations of the Department of Environment and Natural Resources last the 20th of September 22, where the lawmaker supposedly influenced a ruling towards Balilahan town, which is headed by his wife, Mayor Pereza Chato. They cited the transcript of the budget hearing to note that Chato subtly recommended to the DENR secretary to give preference to LGUs over private entities. By his manifestation where he subtly recommended to the DENR secretary to give preference to LGUs over private entities, he unduly influenced the outcome of the pending motion for reconsideration filed by LGU Balilahan represented by his wife, Mayor Pursa Veloso, in a pending water dispute with Rickley Corporation. The complainant said in a 21-page complaint. By so doing, Representative Chatto violated the spirit if not the letter of the provisions of the Code of Conduct, specifically letters F and G of Section 142 of the Rules of the House of Representatives. They added, Rickley Corporation is a local company that sought a water permit from the National Water Resources Board, which filed a petition to cancel their permit against Palilahan as the Bugwak Spring was reportedly located in Sevier Town. Complainants claimed that Chatto's support for the DENR and NWRB budget, an agency that is attached under the said department, led to the granting of Palilahan's motion for reconsideration, due to Representative Chatto's undue intervention in its proceedings. Despite the obvious invalidity of the LGU Palilahan's certificate of water permit, the NWRB rendered a resolution on the 20th of January, 2023 granting LGU Palilahan's motion for reconsideration, the complainants claimed. The Supreme Court has convicted a cop for child abuse for pointing a gun at a minor who refused to vacate a basketball court, in a decision that clarified the scope of the law protecting children. Senior Police Officer 2, now Police Senior Master Sergeant Marvin San Juan was sentenced to a prison term of between 4 years, 9 months and 11 days to 7 years and 4 months and was ordered to pay 40,000 pesos in damages to the boy, who was only 15 years old at the time of the incident. San Juan was allegedly drunk in the morning of the 26th of March, 2014 when he cursed at the boy and his 2 friends who were hanging out in a basketball court. One of the friends, who was only 11 at that time, testified that the cop pulled out his gun and pointed it at the back of his friend, warning them not to hang out in the area. In his defense, San Juan denied pointing a gun at the boy, insisting that he used a stone to chase the boys out of the basketball court. He said he felt insulted that the boys laughed at him when he asked them not to play basketball. He also denied he was drunk. The regional trial court convicted the policeman of violating Section 10 of Republic Act 7610 or the Special Protection of Children Against Abuse, Exploitation and Discrimination Act and sentenced him up to 6 years in prison. On appeal, the Court of Appeals modified the crime to grave threats in relation to the same section of RA 7610 but increased the penalty to up to 7 years and 4 months behind bars. The Supreme Court, in a 13-2 vote, adopted the RTC's ruling that San Juan was guilty of child abuse under RA 7610 and not grave threats, although it maintained the penalty imposed by the appellate court. Speaking through Associate Justice Josep Lopez, the majority said what the cop did to the boy was intrinsically cruel and can be considered psychological abuse under RA 7610. The Philippine National Police has named a Perry, Cagayan Mayor Brian Dale Chan as a person of interest in the killing in February of Vice Mayor Ormal Alameda. At a Senate inquiry, Police Lieutenant Colonel Abel Mercado said Chan and several others associated with him were being looked at as POIs in the slaying. Senator Raffy Tulfo indicated that Chan was named a POI because of a possible political angle, to which Mercado said, "Yes sir." Tulfo and Sen. Ronald Beto de la Rosa proceeded to ask how the others on the list became POIs. Mercado said one is a bodyguard of the mayor's while the others were associated with the local chief executive. He said Darren Cruz Abordo is said to be the owner of the getaway vehicle. De la Rosa, the chairman of the Senate Committee on Public Order and Dangerous Drugs, said Abordo could no longer be found. He turned to Chan and asked where the other POIs were. Chan said some of them were with him at the Senate. He said he didn't know 2 of the POIs Mercado mentioned. During the hearing, Alameda's widow Elizabeth Alameda claimed that Chan allegedly threatened people who filed cases against him, including her husband. She also recalled that in one of Chan's meetings, the Perry mayor told his employees that if he was removed or suspended from his post, he would get back at the person who filed a case against him. Chan denied the allegations and said that he did not receive any complaint filed against him with the Office of the Ombudsman. There were 25,163 corn farmers who received fuel discount cards from the Department of Budget and Management, but were unqualified to do so since they are not included in the master list of the Bureau of Agricultural and Fisheries Engineering. In its 2022 audit report on the Department of Agriculture, COA said the names of the unqualified farmers were not included in the Agricultural and Biosystems Engineering Management Information System maintained by BAFE. It pointed out that under DA Memorandum Circular No. 29 issued in 2022, Farmer organizations including farmers with farm machinery in the corn clustered areas should be enrolled as program beneficiaries for fuel discount cards, and they should be included in the ABEMIS master list. It said the coverage of the fuel discount has been expanded to include all agricultural commodities, and it covers all farm machinery with attached engines that are being used for crop production as well as motorized banker. DA's regional field offices are responsible for submitting the master list of recipients and their corresponding machinery to BAFE, which will then update the ABEMIS, COA said. But since there were thousands of corn farmer beneficiaries who were not included in the master list of ABEMIS, COA questioned the credibility of the list. The inclusion of the 163 corn farmers in the master list submitted to DBM for the issuance of fuel discount cards but not found in the ABEMIS file maintained by the BAFE casts doubt on the accuracy of the master list and whether said farmer beneficiaries owned farm machinery with attached engine that is being used for crop production, it said. Thus, COA asked DA's RFOs to strictly enforce the provisions of their circular to avoid the inclusion of unqualified beneficiaries. It said that DA's central office asserted that some of the names in the master list from the RFOs were included even without the corresponding ABEMIS number in order to expedite the process of providing fuel assistance to corn farmers. But COA said that while fuel assistance should be acted upon with dispatch to relieve farmers from surging fuel prices, compliance with the rules and regulations should be followed. The chief of the city's General Services Office escaped death Tuesday morning following an ambush carried out by still unidentified gunmen on board two motorbikes along Sebastian Street here, Almatraz Renaba. City Public Safety Officer said GSO head Pedro Tato Jr. was on board his pickup truck together with driver Dandy Ananat when fired upon by the perpetrators who were earlier seen tailing their vehicle. Two motorbikes with about 3 men were seen tailing Tato's service vehicle from San Pablo Village and opened fire near the gate of Cotabato Regional and Medical Center, Renaba said of the 8:30 am incident. Tato emerged with minor injuries but Ananat was critically wounded and is now confined in said hospital. Police recovered empty shells for a .45 caliber pistol at the crime scene. The motive of the attack remained unknown as of posting. A radio reporter on Tuesday filed a complaint against the vice mayor of the municipality of Donsol, Sorsogon, after he was allegedly punched by the official twice while covering the launch of Brigada Escuela. Wow Smile radio reporter Mario Romero reported the incident to the Donsol police station on the same day, detailing the actions of Advincula, who approached and subsequently attacked him with a fist blows on his face. According to a copy of the police blotter signed by Donsol Police Captain Ray John Renoria, the 59-year-old news correspondent was covering the launch of Brigada Escuela when the alleged attack took place. Romero sustained minor injuries in his upper lip from the incident, according to a copy of the medical certificate from the Donsol District Hospital shared by Wow Smile Radio. Officials and employees of the Mandawi city government were charged before the office of the Ombudsman Visayas for allegedly illegally entering a property and padlocking the complainant inside. Maria Priscilla Melendres filed complaints for arbitrary detention, violation of the Republic Act 3019 or Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act, RA 6713, or the Code of Conduct and Ethical Standards of Public Officials and Employees, Administrative Code of the Philippines, specifically oppression, grave misconduct, and conduct prejudicial to the best interest of the service, and Bill of Rights of the Constitution. Charged were lawyers Julius Caesar and Tyson John B. Bitton, Assistant City Assessor and Officer in charge of the Housing and Urban Development Office, respectively, Teodorico Montejo II, Head of Janitorial and Security Services Unit, and at least 30 other personnel of JASU. Melendres said she filed the criminal and administrative complaints after the respondents broke into her property in Barangay Pacnan on May 3. The respondents presented a notice of demolition when they arrived, Melendres said. Once inside, the respondents padlocked the two gates of the property that prevented her from going out. Melendres said the respondents were not authorized to enter his property and tear down structures inside. She said a tax declaration that she possesses is proof that she is the rightful owner of the property. Melendres, who filed a complaint on the 24th of July, also asked the anti-graft court to suspend the respondents for 90 days. Sought for comment, Entice belittled the charges filed against them. Intai said they were just following orders from the city government to clear the property. A powerful improvised bomb went off Wednesday morning in Sheriff Sedona town, Maguindanao del Sur, leaving a village chairman dead, while a village councilman and a civilian were seriously injured. Brigadier General Oriel Pancog, the Army's 601st Infantry Brigade commander, identified the slain official as Jun Manat Salongan of Barangay Penditan, Datu Salibo. Salongan is the younger brother of Datu Salibo Councillor Desmond Salongan, who was killed on the 17th of April this year while alighting from his car in front of the town's Sangguniang Bayan Session Hall. Also injured in the 8:45 am blast were Penditan Village Councillor Salak Datua and a still unidentified civilian, who were both with Salongan. They were brought to a hospital in Midsayap, North Cotabato for treatment. Rico Torino, Datu Salibo Municipal Information Officer, said Salongan and his party visited the Barangay Hall of Ganta on Wednesday morning. They were leaving the Barangay Hall premises when a bomb exploded, killing Salongan instantly due to shrapnel injuries in the head and body. The Sandigan Bayan has sentenced a former governor of Sarangani province and his co-accused to up to 20 years in prison for charges of graft and falsification arising from a ghost financial assistance for fisherfolk project in the province in 2002. In a 43-page decision promulgated on the 15th of August penned by Associate Justice Kevin Vivero, the anti-graft court also ordered former Governor Miguel Escobar and management analyst Alexis de la Cruz to pay a 5,000 pesos fine and 450,000 pesos in civil liability. The court found Escobar liable when he approved the fictitious request for financial assistance and for certifying that the fictitious expense was necessary even as neither was there a request for financial assistance nor was there financial assistance received by the Malapatan Fishermen's Group of Poblacion in Malapatan, Sarangani. The group was among the groups and cooperatives identified by the Ombudsman in 2004 as having been used to funnel government funds for ghost projects in the province. Accused Escobar's silence or inaction despite the knowledge of the anomalous transaction by other officials of the province was tantamount to his approval. Moreover, his conduct of approving the disbursement voucher despite the lack of supporting documents which resulted in the encashment of 450,000 pesos by the person who posed as accused Banzon speaks most eloquently of his participation in the conspiracy, the court said. The House of Representatives on Wednesday voted to expel Representative Arnolfo Teves over his continued absence from Congress and his recent designation as a terrorist by the Anti-Terrorism Council. The House has given Teves the harshest disciplinary action possible after suspending him twice for his failure to face his colleagues in the lower chamber and for seeking political asylum outside the country. The House Ethics Panel's recommendation to expel Teves, which received 265 favorable votes, 0 negative votes and 3 abstentions, was based on a number of reasons related to his refusal to resume duties as a lawmaker, compared to the panel's reasons for recommending Teves' suspension, first on the 20th of March and then again on the 31st of May. The committee this time took into consideration Teves' designation as a terrorist by the Anti-Terrorism Council in its decision. This reflects the discredit on the House, the panel stated in its committee report. In particular, the House Ethics Panel said it arrived at its decision after it took painstaking time and effort to inquire with several concerned national government agencies that could detail recent developments with regard to Teves' actions. And the main basis for this recommendation is his continuous absence without leave in the House of Representatives by his persistent pursuit of political asylum in Timor-Leste. This constitutes abandonment of public office and violation of his oath of office as House member, the committee report read. A grenade explosion rocked the home of former Commission on Elections chairperson Sheriff Abbas in Cotabato City. No one was hurt in the incident but shrapnels hit a vehicle parked in the area, according to Bam Alegre's report on GMA Integrated News on Ang Balita on Thursday. Abbas was not home when the blast occurred. The family of Abbas is clueless about the possible motive and the identity of the person who threw the grenade inside their home. Authorities have already obtained the CCTV footage which captured the front of the house to help in the investigation. The Cotabato city government and the brother of the ex-Comelec official, Bangsamoro Deputy Minister of Health Zulkarnain Abbas, offered 300,000 pesos each for information that could lead to the arrest of perpetrators. The chief of the Navita's City Police has been sacked from his post after the Internal Affairs Services of the Philippine National Police found that he gave orders to conceal the involvement of 11 police officers over the fatal shooting of a minor. The PNPIAS said in a memorandum on Wednesday that Navita's Police Chief Alan Umapig instructed the team leader of the operatives to exclude from their reports 11 police officers who were also involved in the fatal shooting of the 17-year-old Juhod Jemboy Baltazar. Umapig will be facing charges of dishonesty and command responsibility, while the 11 policemen who were initially concealed will be charged for abandoning the victim and other possible violations of police operational procedures. According to the PNP, this development comes 2 weeks after police shot Baltazar dead on August 2nd in what they describe as a case of mistaken identity. Journalists based in Bicol have condemned the chief of police of Iriga City in Camarines Sur for arresting and detaining a radio reporter who allegedly accessed the police blotter without his permission. The Bicol Press Club, BPC Camarines Sur Chapter, Kapisanan NGMGA Broadcaster sa Pilipinas Camarines Sur Chapter and the National Union of Journalists of the Philippines, Albay Chapter criticized Iriga City Police Chief Lieutenant Colonel Ralph J. Snoida for arresting and detaining Jose Rizal Pajarez of the Radio Natin and DZRH Bicol. The incident happened on the 2nd of August at the city police station and was made public only on the 9th of August. Oida was relieved from his post on the 10th of August as a result of the incident. The BPC said Oida's action not only undermined the integrity of law enforcement, but also jeopardized the public's trust in the guardians of the people's safety and security. Cagayan Governor Manuel Mamba is facing detention in the House of Representatives for failing to attend its hearing on his alleged public spending violation during the election campaign period. Antipolo 2nd District Representative Romeo Acup made the motion for Mamba's detention order during Thursday's joint hearing of the House Committee on Public Accounts and Committee on Suffrage and Electoral Reforms. Mr. Chair, may we respectfully move that Governor Mamba be detained pursuant to our rules and be meted out the penalty that is supposed to be meted out pursuant to our rules, Acup asked the joint panel. His request was approved. Before this move, Acup made the motion to cite Mamba in contempt for his failure to attend the hearing for the past 3 months. Since the governor of Cagayan was not able to obey the processes of these two committees, in the spirit of the equitable provisions of the law, I move that we cite the governor of Cagayan for contempt, said Acup. That's all for this week. I'll see you next week with more stories of corruption and foolishness within the Philippine government.